So, my dear students, these public or statutory corporations are brought into existence by a statute of state or the center in parliament or legislature, and they have been created for a specific purpose. And this legislative act passed into parliament or the state legislatures describe their or define their sphere of work or their mode of management or the functioning of their these statutory corporations. These corporations are the independent bodies, and they are at they are liberal enough to do their work, and naturally we have seen that we have seen that their motive is service of they have motive service, they have no profits, they have service motive, they have no profit motive. But whatever thing in this world is, everything has its merits as well as demerits. So these public or statutory corporations are not free from their limitations, and they have also some of their merits. So, my dear students, today we may discuss in this lesson some of the merits and limitations of the statutory corporations. So, we may take them one by one today in today's lesson. First, we may discuss the merits of statutory corporations. Number one is internal autonomy. As already discussed, we have given some examples of these statutory corporations to make you understand that there is RBI is there, IDBI is there, IFCI is there. These are such bodies which have a great autonomy. They have been kept free by the government from all the sides to do their work in a better possible way, because these are the corporations of much more importance and they have the specific objectives to achieve. So in that case, these organizations have they enjoy internal autonomy so that their functioning must not be hampered. It should not be interfered by anybody else, including that of the government as well. We have learned in the definition of these statutory organizations or features of these organizations that they enjoy internal autonomy. They that there is no government interference in the functioning of these statutory corporations, because they are the corporations of the utmost importance. So they are left to work independently in order to achieve their goals, whatever are being set by them. Number second is flexibility. Flexibility means that they are flexible enough. Flexibility, although their so far as their rules and regulations are concerned, they are flexible because these rules are being made by the organizations themselves whenever they want to change, because they are internally autonomous. Whenever they want to reverse, whenever they find that some of the rules made becomes a hurdle in achieving their objectives, they can replace it or they can remove it or they can reverse it. So that is why we can say that there is flexibility in these statutory corporations. And the third one is free from government interference. As already discussed in the meaning and features of the statutory organizations, this point has been discussed that government even they enjoy autonomy or independence to that much level that government does not interfere in the functioning or in the matters of these statutory organizations. So, from this point of view, we can understand the importance of these statutory corporations. Employment of competent persons. So, these we have already in the features we have understood that they can employ independently the their employees required. They have their own recruitment boards and have they have their own rules to employ these competent persons through various tests whatever they have designed there, but they appoint their required manpower themselves. They have their own recruitment boards, and again there is a run on business lines. The functioning of these corporations is on, although they have service modules, they provide service to the various organizations, various establishments, but they are run on the business lines. As the business objectives, business establishments are run in the same way, these are also run. Then there is accountability. These organizations are accountable to the government. Accountability is everywhere. Also, their accountability is maintained inside these statutory organizations. That means every person is responsible to the his boss, to his superior into the this corporation. There is accountability that everybody does his work in a best possible way. Any deviation or laxity are seriously dealt with in such statutory corporations. Then seventh one is service to society. As already discussed, these have specific modules and are they have service modules. They provide service to the society. As we see, there is Reserve Bank of India. It provides money to the masses. If this service is not there, because money in this material world is a necessary evil. If the people does not get money in time, they will die for want of money. They will suffer for want of money. So, other bodies, as I have cited the example of this Reserve Bank of India, in the same way, there is Industrial Development Bank. It finances, it provides assistance to our industrial sector, and industries in turn give service to our masses, to our society. Some industries provide textiles, and others provide edible things, and some provide mechanical things. So our life becomes easy. So we can say, uh, collectively, we can say that they provide service to the society. These were some of the merits of these statutory corporations, and these statutory corporations are not free from their loopholes, drawbacks, or we can say limitations. Some of the limitations of these statutory corporations are as limited autonomy. We discussed in that they have internal autonomy. It was a merit, but the critics say that this autonomy is to a limited extent. This is not unlimited autonomy. In some spheres they have autonomy, and they are not totally autonomous. This is one loophole of these organizations, that if autonomy they enjoy, but it is not a full autonomy, that it is limited in certain spheres or in certain aspects. Second is difficulty in making changes. Although we discussed in the merit is that there is flexibility, but some critics say that flexibility is not also to a larger extent. They cannot make changes in their rules or in their functioning easily without the prior permission. Number third is that misuse of financial autonomy. Critics also say that the financial autonomy which is available to these statutory corporations is not used in a judicious way. There are some frauds in this financial autonomy. There are some loopholes that the managers, the people who are autonomous in this aspect, cannot make the judicious use of their autonomy. They misuse their autonomy so far as the financial transactions are concerned. Number four is lack of personal touch. Lack of personal. So personal touch there, because there is much more autocracy. These are special corporations, statutory corporations. So personal touch is hampered. There is much more discussion or policy making at the top, and many more people, many more persons are, they are deprived, they are neglected. Then fifth one is government control. As we have already told that these are public statutory corporations. And this means government statutory corporation. Naturally, when the name government is there, these organizations are uh, financed, managed, controlled by the government. Although internally they are autonomous, but they are accountable to the government. They are answerable to the government. Any deviation, any laxity by these organizations is looked into by the government only, and nobody else can perform this function. My dear students, in today's topic, I think it is enough. Inshallah, see you into the next lesson. Till then, goodbye.